The member from Nipissing.
Good morning, Speaker. My question is for the Premier. Today, the government will present its fall economic statement. I'll be 11 days late. Thankfully, the Financial Accountability Officer already gave us some insight into the state of Ontario's finances. He told us of the province's deteriorating economic performance, slower GDP, and weaker labour market outcomes. What he said was the government continues to miss their lofty revenue forecasts, but continues to spend the money they didn't take in. We were told the only way to right the ship is to lower the growth outlook to 3% and spend accordingly. The Globe and Mail concurred, going so far as to suggest the government is living in a fiscal fantasy land. Speaker, my question is, will we finally see the truth about the state of our finances in Ontario?
Thank you. Premier.
So, Mr. Speaker, let me just go through the realities that we're dealing with, Mr. Speaker. Year over year, we have beaten our deficit targets, Mr. Speaker, and the Financial Accountability Officer's report said that we're on track to beat our targets again this year. So that's exactly what the FAO has said. And, Mr. Speaker, we're doing that because of the plan that we have. Our plan is to build Ontario up, including investing in people's talent and skills, including the infrastructure investments that we were just talking about in the previous question, including fostering a dynamic business climate and working with businesses so that they can expand, so that they can become exporters, Mr. Speaker, and including creating a secure retirement pension plan. Those are the 4 pillars of our plan, Mr. Speaker. We're unlocking the value of assets, Mr. Speaker, so that we can make that investment of over $130 billion for roads and bridges and transit and hospitals. That'll support 110,000 jobs a year, Mr. Speaker. And since the recession, Ontario's created more than 500,000 jobs, 559,600 to be exact, Mr. Speaker. Those are the fundamentals that we'll be talking about in the financial.
Supplementary.
Back to the Premier. I question whether the fall economic statement will discuss the facts the government attempted to bury in order to lower their deficit this year. On page 162 of a 167-page finance bill, there's one line, Speaker, that tells us exactly what the government has been up to all along. Schedule 22, Section 7, Item 1 authorizes the government to use the Trillium Trust money to fund, quote, or reimburse, quote, the Crown for the construction of infrastructure. So exactly what we've been saying all along, Speaker, is now laid bare by their own document. The proceeds from the sale of Hydro One are not to fund transit. They're, quote, to reimburse the government for money that was already budgeted.
Question.
Speaker, will the Premier now confirm that this has been a transit sham all along?
No, Mr. Speaker, we've been clear about our plan to use the Trillium Trust to build key vital infrastructure projects, Mr. Speaker, transportation projects, Mr. Speaker. That is what we are going to do with that money. The money is in the Trillium Trust, and it is going to go to build those projects, Mr. Speaker. And I think that actually the member opposite knows that, because he understands that there are jurisdictions all over the province, including in northeastern Ontario, that need those infrastructure investments. But let me just talk about the track that we're on, Mr. Speaker. Ontario's unemployment at 6.8% is under the national unemployment rate of 7%, Mr. Speaker. According to the Conference Board of Canada, Ontario is on track to grow about 2% this year, outpacing the projected 1.1% GDP increase for the country, Mr. Speaker. Ontario is the first in North America for foreign direct investment for the second year in a row, Mr. Speaker. So the reality is we are on track. We're going to stay on track, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. New question. The member from